I have a story time to remind us all that the dust is global. This is a cautionary tale. The woman who sat here and typed up this long email knows that she made a series of mistakes. She knows she made a bunch of mistakes. You do not have to jump into the comment section and start shaming and judging her. She knows that she made the mistakes. She tells us the red flags, and she is doing this as a cautionary tale. So please just take that for what it is so that we use this as a lesson to help the next person rather than to rail on this woman. People share their stories with me because they know that I'm using this to help the next woman. Now, with that being said, let's get into it. Bourbon Bougie, please keep me anonymous. Thank you for this platform that you've created for our women and girls. I am not proud of my story, but if I can share this and inform just one woman or girl, I will be grateful. I was raised in a two-parent household for most of my young life. My parents fought almost daily, and when they separated, I was happy to see them apart. This dysfunctional family relationship made me romanticize a happy nuclear family. My father never taught me about the game, so I equated sex with love for many of my early adult years. So please keep in mind, y'all, that what people go through in their childhood creates the foundation for what they go through in relationships. So you have got to recognize that some people's norm is dysfunction. Some people's norm is people pleasing. Some people's norm is accepting whatever because that is what they saw in their house. So have a little grace for both. After many years of failed relationships, I met a Latino man from South America. We ran on the same trail near my home. I was shy, and so was he. We ran at 6 p.m., smiled, and waved at each other for several weeks until I got the courage to speak to him. We started running together from that point and talked. He lived with his older brother, brother's wife, and 7 children. My first mistake, as I owned my own home, and he was not yet independent. He asked me to pick him up for our first date because his license was suspended. Second red flag. Our dates were consistent, calls were consistent, and we had a great time with each other. I fell hard and fast because of all the attention and kindness he showed. That's called love bombing, y'all. This is called love bombing. I asked him what his legal status was after my girlfriends encouraged me to slow down. This is the reason why it is important to continue to cultivate your relationships and your friendships with women because they can see red flags that you are missing due to love bombing. There were red flags that they saw, but I did not. He told me that he came to the US on a student visa but overstayed. Third red flag. He was in the application process for legal residency on the basis that he had 2 American born daughters. Fourth red flag. He was not a US citizen and there was no application. He did not put his application in, y'all. After 6 months, he introduced me to his daughters and explained to them that he wanted to marry, that he wanted them to meet the woman that he wants to marry. He proposed to me at that time, and we married 1 year later. So he brought the children in, and that's kind of an additional pressure that he put on her. This is really love bombing for survival's sake, y'all, because she had a house. We had a micro wedding with 30 close friends and family. He arrived 30 minutes late, and I watched him from the second floor of the mansion. He paced in front. He paced in front of my father and went out to calm his pre-wedding nerves. His brother, best man, and a friend were also outside talking to him. In the pit of my stomach, I knew I should have canceled the wedding. But how do I do so when my parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles traveled so far from my day? We got married and life went downhill. We left for our honeymoon and he proceeded to clear the minibar daily. He was intoxicated the entire time. When we returned there was a registered letter in the mail from his wife. She stated that my new husband was her current husband. I confronted him and he said they were never married. I went to the local courthouses and there was no record of a marriage or divorce. I decided to believe him. We settled into married life with him moving into my home and paying 30% of the bills. He did not clean, cook, or help at all with any of the household labor. I was determined to have a successful marriage. People are determined to have successful marriages because we have edified, we have put marriage on on a pedestal. We have said that this is the ultimate prize, is to be married and to be picked. That is the reason why some people hold on to this fairy tale, because we have put it so high up on the to-do list. Okay, so she says, I was determined to have a successful marriage, the one I dreamed of as a child, hearing my parents argue. I worked 12 to 16 hours. No, he worked 12 to 16 hours per day in construction, and then he ran for 1 or 2 hours after work. I also worked and commuted to work 10 to 12, commuted to work 10 to 12 hours per day. I did all of the household labor, and he was upset that our love life was disappearing. He was upset. No more sex, I guess. He started asking me to help him apply for a green card after the first year of marriage. We started therapy together and things got a little better. After 2 years of marriage, I purchased a car for him. I was done. We also planned and actively worked to get pregnant. During my 8th month of pregnancy, I got a marriage certificate in the mail. It was from a jurisdiction that I did not travel to because I was not aware that he ever lived there. He was, in fact, still married to his daughter's mother. When I confronted him, he explained everything he thought I wanted to hear. She refused to sign the divorce papers. She refused to help him with immigration. He really loved me. All lies. He wanted an American to marry him to help get him citizenship and nothing more. I fell into a deep depression. I put him out of my house. I gave birth to our son, and he was in the room. We co-parented for 18 months until he called me from jail. Y'all, this is just a bad story. Sorry, y'all. This is not. Wow. He called me from jail. He asked me to help him. I refused, but visited him once in jail and once to hear what he had to say. I spoke with the lawyer that his brother hired and was told he was being deported because he had 2 DUIs in 10 years. I refused to help with his deportation and filed an annulment once he was taken into the ICE facility. He was returned to his country. He video calls our son and talks to him 2 to 3 times, 2 to 3 days per week. It is not ideal as my son does not have his father in his life. When he calls, I could win an Oscar. I pretend to be happy for my son's sake. I want my son to feel as if he has permission to love both of his parents. I do not speak badly about his father ever. My son, age 9, and I go to therapy together. I have him in a mentoring program with quality male leaders, and we are in a youth leadership program. I fell in love with an international Dusty and ignore so many blaring red flags. To the young ladies, I would say divesting is fine, but go slow and truly find out who the man is. Do not ignore red flags or your intuition. Never marry a man that needs you for his survival. So she knows. She knows. She's living it, and she is cleaning up from her mistakes. So recognize that as you get ready to comment. I know that you guys saw all of the red flags. She was numbering them as she was going along. So have some grace and use this for what it is. It's a cautionary tale. It's a story time. It's a long one. And I appreciate this person for taking the time and to understand that she made some mistakes, but maybe the next person doesn't have to. Y'all get in the comments, like, comment,